All right. All right. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. Let's see. Yes. Hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for coming to the Human Development Graduate School panel. This is part of the Human Development Seminar Series. And so we want to thank our panelists for being here, our HDEV alumna. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy graduate school schedules to impart some knowledge on our attendees. So, Dr. Shi, we haven't really talked about how you want to do the questions, but do you want to just go back and forth? What do you think?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be perfect.
All right, cool. Will you want to kick us off then?
Yes. So let us get started by having the panelists introduce themselves and talk a little bit like what year you graduated with your human development degree from Cal State Long Beach, and what graduate program you're in currently. So we'll start there with a brief introduction.
And you know what? I learned this trick recently in some interviews that I was a search committee, part of the search committee. I'm going to put the questions in the chat.
Oh, that would be helpful.
So that y'all can follow along easily.
Yes, thank you. Hey, whoever want to start off, go for it.
Okay, I'll go. My name is Grace. I graduated with my HDEV degree in spring 2016. Currently, I'm a first year PhD student in developmental psychology at Loyola University Chicago. And yeah, that's all.
Okay, I'll go next. Hi everyone. My name is Alana. I graduated in December of 2021 with my undergrad degree. I'm currently in my first semester of the 3-year program at Cal State Long Beach for social work.
And I'll go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Contreras. I graduated from Cal State Long Beach with my human development degree in spring of 2021. And this is my first semester. I'm finishing up my first semester in the entry-level doctorate program for occupational therapy at the University of Southern California.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jacqueline. I go by Jackie. I graduated Cal State Long Beach HDEV major in May 2019, and I'm currently doing my doctorate in PsyD at Pepperdine University.
Great. Thank y'all so much. Okay, so here is, we have one more. Actually, she's just in time.
Yeah, I think she just got off work.
Yeah.
Jocelyn, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hey, sorry, I'm a little late. I just got home from work.
You're fine. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn, and I graduated from Cal State Long Beach with my bachelor's degree in human development, and I minored in child development. I recently obtained my master's degree this past summer with early childhood education at Cal State Long Beach. I currently work with children, and that's something that I was always naturally drawn to and found a lot of passion in. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks, Jocelyn. And thanks, everyone. Okay, so I have a question with a few follow-up questions. So you can kind of address any part of this, whatever applies to you. So what was the graduate school application process like for you? What did you do to prepare? How did you choose where to apply to? How many programs did you apply to? And how did you choose ultimately where to attend? And anyone can jump in.
Okay, I'll go first. So, the process was pretty lengthy. I applied to Cal State, Dominguez Hills, and Long Beach. I only chose 2 schools. Preparing to apply, needing the letters of recommendation, I would say definitely get started on that first because you want to give your recommenders an ample amount of time to write their recommendations for you. And I chose those two schools to apply to based on one, distance from where I live, and also going to their informational meetings to find out more about the program before deciding to apply. And I chose to ultimately attend Long Beach just because I did my undergrad here and I was very familiar with it already.
I can go next. Mine was quite a journey. I actually also attended Long Beach. I just graduated last winter for my master's in dual language development program, so in the College of Ed. So prior to starting my PhD program and going to apply for that, I took 3 years off, and then working with Dr. Kelly, obviously, since my undergrad, I decided to apply to the master's program at Long Beach as a stepping stone because it was really hard for me to kind of make a decision on like how far I wanted to go. Like, so you brought up distance, Alana, earlier, and right now I went to the furthest I can go. But the process is similar, you know, like making sure that you reach out to your professors and mentors who you think will write you a glowing personal letter of recommendation. But yeah, I took some time off before going into grad school to really think about whether the PhD track was going to be for me. So I continued to do research and volunteer in Dr. Kelly's lab for quite some time, and I continued to do that. And then after my master's program, I then went into apply to the PhD, which is ultimately my goal, and happily I made it. But I only applied, so for the master's, I only applied to the master's program at Long Beach, and then for my PhD, I was just gonna like I just applied to two of my top programs. So that's kind of like I took a risk on that, but it worked out. So if you're gonna apply, if you're still thinking about like PhD or master's, I think, you know, it's okay to take your time. That's what I did. So that was kind of like the process for me. But yeah.
Yeah, I will go next. So the application for my program at Cal State Long Beach was there's a lot of paperwork involved, and like the other graduate or past graduate students said, um you do need time to get letters of recommendation because you know your professors are pretty busy people, so it's very you have to be considerate of like when you're asking them, and at least I don't know, grace period, you want to give them maybe like 3 to 6 months a heads up for that. So yeah, and then there was an interview process. So at the early childhood education program, there was a I had to be interviewed by the panel. I think they were, yeah, from the College of Ed. I think they were in the College of Ed. I don't remember. It was one of them was my professor throughout the whole program. So yeah. Are we just doing one question at a time? Or are we
If you want to address all the questions, you can, or any of them. So don't feel obligated to answer all of them. So whatever you want to answer.
okay. All right. Well, I want to be honest with everyone. I did not know what I wanted to do after graduating with my bachelor's. I didn't know if I needed to continue but I had this gut instinct that told me, you should just apply, Jocelyn, just apply. So during the pandemic was when I applied, 2020 to be exact. And I had a lot of time to think about what was my next step in life. Did I still want to go to school? Do I feel like I obtained a lot of information in my undergrad, or do I want to further this study in this field and this topic that I'm so passionate about? And obviously, I took the route of just going with my heart and listening to myself and what I thought was best for myself. If you believe that furthering your education is beneficial for you, that's great. If you feel like you can do without it, that's fine too. But yeah, this was something that I applied to my grad school program. I think the application process was open in April, it was due in June, and then I got accepted later that summer. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm doing this. And how did I choose to apply? Well, yeah, I felt like undergrad, I had a minor in child development, but I felt like, with human development and child development, um, I felt like I could have picked up some more information with children at least. And so master's programs do offer that knowledge, that wealth of knowledge. And in my grad program, they focus more on like leadership roles and how you can become a real well-rounded educator using research-based evidence. And it's a lot of paperwork involved in my program. There's a lot of essays. But if it's something that you're passionate about, it's actually interesting to look up and research these topics. And yeah.
I'll go next. So pretty much the graduate school application process, it was pretty lengthy, but it's doable. So don't feel discouraged. I feel that for me, really doing volunteer work was something that I was really passionate about, and that really helped me stand out. In addition to, having a good communication, like having a good relationship with my professors as well. And going to office hours. So when they tell you go to office hours, they really do mean it. That's a great way to be able to also interact and get to know them on a one-on-one personal basis. So it's a bit easier to tell them to do the letters of rec. I also had to do prerequisites because mine is a doctorate level program for occupational therapy. So this is at USC, but in the health science campus. So you had to meet a lot of the science requirements additionally. So I did have to, go out of my way to fulfill those prerequisites. And USC is really great at articulating which classes they will accept if it's online. Just so you don't have to worry about doing it in person, because I do know the whole pandemic made things very stressful. But USC is a wonderful school, so don't feel overwhelmed or anything like that if you decide to apply there. So I decided to apply to 2 programs, which was totally diverse. I always knew that I wanted to work with people. So I was first interested in occupational therapy, but I was also interested in counseling, just because I felt like both of those, I guess, career choices really articulates human development, the human development aspect. So I took a gamble and I only applied to one school for both of them, which was Cal State Long Beach and USC. And ultimately, what chose me to attend USC was just because I also looked at job outgrowth, the outlook, and occupational therapy is high in demand. I really wanted to do a doctorate program level, and it's a bit intense, so I'm not gonna lie and sugarcoat that it's not, because it's from a bachelor's to a graduate to a doctorate level. So it's a lot, but it's never hard. So that's kind of the challenge. And I feel that, I really loved the initially, I went to USC once and it was enough to get me to be like, wow, this is really what I want to do. I want to work with patients. I want to have that variety of being able to work in a hospital, inpatient, outpatient setting. And then that's what it ultimately led me to that choice.
And I'll go ahead and go. Like several of you have mentioned, it is quite a long process, but like Jocelyn had mentioned, kind of giving yourself ample time to get those letters of rec. I know from my experience, I think I gave my recommenders about 3 to 4 months ahead, and I would just check in with them every few weeks or so. Of course, I had classes with them, so it was a little bit easier. What I think did help me to kind of prepare for them to write me letters is that I gave each of my recommenders, I had about three, so I gave them like a folder and just put all the application, like a list of like, this is what this program looks for, and kind of tailor their own letters to see like what the program was looking for in a candidate or a candidate that would be going into a program. So I do have quite a story like Grace was mentioning. So I graduated in 2019 from Cal State Long Beach, and then the previous year in 2018, I applied for a master's program with the exception of one PsyD program for psychology, which was Argosy. But unfortunately, during that time, they closed the campus that I had applied and gotten accepted to, which was the Orange County one. So that kind of left me with looking at master's programs, so master's in clinical psychology, which I actually did look into specifically Pepperdine, which I did my master's in a Latinx-based program in clinical psychology, and it was about 2 years. So I graduated in 2021 and then went into Pepperdine to do the PsyD program. So I kind of had two processes of applying to graduate school as well, which of course it is a long process, but I think the first round kind of helped me prepare for the second one as well. And the programs I did choose specifically for Pepperdine for the master's program is that they focused on Latinx communities and providing bilingual services. So for me, I wanted to go into programs that provided therapy services to marginalized communities. And then given that my native language is Spanish, I thought I would be a little bit more of like prepared to do that with communities that are in LA and Orange County. And this program that I attended was for Pepperdine, which was at the Irvine campus, not at the Malibu one. And then for the PsyD program I'm currently in, I'm in my second year. So I have 2 more years to go. I'm at the LA campus. And then for that, I just applied to that specific program, the second round, because I knew Pepperdine, but I also knew like the faculty and the interests that kind of aligned with my own. So I did take a gamble once again with Pepperdine. So fortunately, I got accepted. So I kind of just looked at the faculty and then diversity as well. If there are any opportunities to kind of seek like research labs that focused on doing research, even though a PsyD program is not too specific on research, they do offer opportunities. So that's another thing that with Pepperdine, they do allow for that. So even in a dissertation process, either in a PhD or PsyD program, since they're doctorate levels, the dissertation process is like another thing, but that's also something I kind of looked at for faculty, if there are any of their areas of research kind of aligned with mine, which were like bilingual services, but also therapy and assessments as well. So, yes.
Forgot to unmute myself. All right, so our next set of questions are about your current graduate program. I think some of you mentioned a little bit in your other answer, but if you can think about what do you think of your graduate program, more generally speaking, and also specifically? So things to kind of talk about would be like, what are the pros and cons that you have discovered in your graduate program? I know some of you are kind of newer, right, to or the first semester into your program, but so far, what are some pros and cons that you have discovered in this program? And also talk a little bit about what do you like most and least about your program. So
I can go. So my graduate program was they offered classes in the evening, which was really great, especially if you're working full time. So working full time and going to school full time is not ideal, but honestly, not a lot of us have that much of a choice. But yeah, I did sacrifice a lot of time away. This is me personally. I sacrificed a lot of time spent with family and friends because I spent my weekends studying or writing essays, unless you're really great at not procrastinating and you can like slowly do your paper each day. But I'm gonna be real, that's not me. um, but yeah, so if you're good at like time management, that I mean, you shouldn't be overwhelmed. And if you're not working, I think it's ideal too to do. But it worked. I'm a mom. I have an 8-year-old son. I recently got married. Um, I have a lot of pets, and so like I made it work. So, but I did feel bad about telling my family and friends like, hey, I can't hang out with you this weekend because I have to study. So that's something that you may encounter if you hang out with a lot of people and always going out on the weekends. But if you manage your time wisely, you probably can do both, go out and study. But pros and cons. Pros, I made a lot of great friends in the program, and we connected so well. And being a grad student with other people who are achieving the same goals as you really helps. So I would recommend making connections with people in the program. Like we go out, we had like events outside of school, so we like would meet on like Thanksgiving or like Christmas break, and it really helped with like the anxiety and the stress. The cons, well, cons is sometimes you may disagree with what your professors say sometimes, or if how they how they like manage the program. I to be real, like I felt like my professor could have been more I don't know, personable and more like understanding and like compassionate towards us. But I don't know. So, but she was, if you needed help, she was there. But yeah, that was a con that I experienced personally in the program. I felt like my professor, she's the head, I think, department head of that program, and it could have been better. Yeah.
Okay, I can go next. For the MSW program at Long Beach, it is my first semester, but so far I would say one pro is that you can choose to apply to either the 2 or 3-year program. If you do 3-year, it's more geared toward people that are going to be working full time, at least the first year, which has been me so far. It has been a little tough, but it definitely is manageable if you do get your assignments done. You start, getting a planner and planning everything out definitely does help. Let's see. What I like most about the program is it does give you a little bit more leniency with the 3-year program. You take 2 classes, you go fall, spring, summer. So the first year it's only 2 classes, and the second and third year is when you start your internship. They are very upfront with you and let you know once you start your internship, you're not going to have that much time to work. So like when you're applying, they do tell you like make sure you have finances set aside to be able to support yourself. But there's always financial aid. And I would say just the only con I've had so far with the program I'm in now, it does cost more to do the 3-year program because you're taking more semesters to get through it. And when you're in the 3-year program versus 2-year, 3-year, you can only take classes at night or on Saturdays all day. But it really is like a toss-up depending on when your registration date is. So you can't really think, oh, I'm going to take Mondays and Wednesdays my entire time because the classes might fill up. So you have to be a little bit flexible. But so far, it's been a really great program.
I would like to go next. So I applied to the University of Southern California. So I'll talk about it more generally. Like a pro about my program is that it's very small. So you have a lot of interaction. It's a small integrated class, so you do get to know the professor. You're able to ask a lot of questions. So you're not kind of like in the back of the classroom and you're not talking. It really emphasizes that like patient-client relationship, patient-client interaction. So it allows you to kind of gain a lot of encouragement to speaking and being comfortable. A con that I guess that I discovered about the program is that because it is 3 years, you don't get a summer break off, which is, can be kind of hard for people. And it's the same cost for the first year. Like for the first summer, it's the same cost as if you were paying like a fall, like in like fall or spring. And I guess like cost, because I do go to USC, it is a private. It might be a little bit discouraging for some people because they look at that cost. But what I think a lot of people don't seem to know, or why ultimately ended up choosing, is because the Graduate Plus loan allows you to kind of take out different loans that are fitting, or that will work best for you, and they give you different years to kind of pay off the loan, and they're always working with you. They're never working against you, which is kind of nice. And you can also already apply for like a loan forgiveness, like adding your name already to it. So don't be discouraged, because I'm first generation, so that was one of my hardest like my most difficult fear was being unable to pay back, a heavy loan. But the school is obviously really great and making sure that you don't miss anything, that there's no deadlines, that you don't ever struggle with that. So if that's something that you're fearful of, I would say don't let that hinder you, right? And then something that I do like about the program is just, again, how much care and respect the professors have for all of their students. I really love that. I had that wonderful experience at Long Beach with all of my professors. And so like to be able to have the same experience at USC has been so wonderful, not to mention that occupational science and occupational therapy originated there. So I feel very blessed to, be kind of like to have guest speakers that have been, that made like a lot of like wonderful research that helps support our career. And then I guess something that I least like about my program is that since I am the first semester for the entry-level doctorate, there is already a post-doctorate program there. This is the first time they've integrated it from a bachelor's to a doctorate level, is that there seems to be a lot of like curriculum changes. It's kind of inconsistent. So it does kind of affect me as a student, just because I feel like, they still haven't really gotten a hang of things, again, because we're the first people to do this program. But I really love that they've integrated our voices. We have to do constant surveys. We also have the ability to speak up. So if we don't like a way that a certain class is going, we have the opportunity to be able to be open, so that the future students that come, or like that, I guess, for like the next semester, right, they're able to integrate what they've already learned with us, so they can have it a little bit more easier.
I'll go next. Well, I guess I can kind of talk about two programs because I did go through a master's program at Long Beach in the dual language development in the College of Ed. What I would say, I would start with the con because I do want to be kind of honest. If some of the people or students who would view this later on would consider. Con is that in a master's program, there's no funding. So you do have to really consider funding as like a big factor, because I was also afraid of taking loans and things like that. And, reality is it's like that is just part of it. And yeah, it's just a big factor. So I did take out loans. And another con I would say is like something that I just experienced is just like my advisor with the thesis. So just making sure, like, if you, let's say, are looking into a program, make sure that you do have the option to pursue whatever you want, whether that's a thesis or testing out to get your degree, just to make sure like you feel supported in your goals, whether it's a master's or a PhD program. I think that's just really important to set that at the very get-go. I would say my pros, so much came out of this master's program, even though I had struggled. I think one of the biggest pros is I got to continue to work with Dr. Kelly, and we did a lot of amazing projects. Like I got to apply for a lot of grants. So that's an option for you if you are looking to do a master's program at Long Beach. It's like if you are going to do research, you can apply for Sally Casanova Graduate Research Fellowship. That was kind of for me where I was able to survive because it's hard not to be funded to do grad work and like try to kind of work outside. And for me, I was really always research oriented, and because I wanted to kind of use the master's as a stepping stone into a PhD program. So that would be my pros. And obviously I had amazing thesis committee. Dr. Shea, she was a great co-mentor as well, and Dr. Nguyen. And then I would say for the PhD program, one of the reasons why I decided to move to Chicago was because I got to work with my top, like my top choice of like the advisor to work with. She's, her name is Dr. Catherine Hayden. She's really big in the field, and I'm just so fortunate to be able to like be considered to work with her. And now that I have had the chance to work with her, since the summer, because I started in the summer, I just feel like I would say that's the biggest pros in my program is just my advisor. There's funding, so that's also another thing. And Loyola is a private institution, so I don't know to what extent public versus private differs in terms of funding. But one thing about Loyola was that the application fee was free, no GRE required for the PhD program, at least in the psychology department. But yeah, funding is a big thing. So I didn't want to continue to take out loans for 6 more years. So I'm in a 5-year program, so I'm funded for 5 years. So I would say those are the big pros. And we have this thing called Brown Bag. I don't know if it's a Midwestern thing, but it's just such a great way that I appreciate with my program, where like students get to present and practice and rehearse, whether that's a thesis, whether that's a conference, whatever it may be. Like students get to present and practice, and like the whole department will be the audience, and we make time every 2 weeks. I guess like everybody has to attend it so that we can support our peers who are also in the program. So we get to interact with our senior peers, the newest cohort. So I really like that about the program. It's designed to really be like a supportive and collaborative space. So far, I like it. It's hard, but it's good. I really like it so far.
And I'll go ahead and go. Similar to Grace, with mine, I come from Pepperdine. I'm at Pepperdine, so for my master's in PsyD program. So it's kind of similar in both of my experiences. So I'll start with the con. So I think coming from Cal State Long Beach, because it is such a community at Cal State Long Beach, the diversity in regards to organizations, clubs that you get to be a part of, and then a part of just being a major, an HDiv major, and another major that you might be at Cal State Long Beach too. But I think coming from Cal State Long Beach, it was kind of a culture shock for me, I would say, because there isn't too much involvement in regards to students that get to be part of organizations, or outside of just being like a clinical psychology major, being a graduate student. So that's something I still do miss, even from Cal State Long Beach, going into Pepperdine, because it's more, of course, it's a private institution, and there is like kind of a difference coming from undergrad to a graduate program, where it's you just see these professional buildings and you just take classes there. So it is quite a difference in coming into a program at Pepperdine, where it's more professional, I would say. But I guess for a pro, I would say, of course, Pepperdine is known for the professional opportunities and ability to network with other faculty members, and if there's any individuals that you may want to collaborate collaborate in regard to research or anything like that, they do offer those connections outside of just faculty as well. And then one thing I do like about Pepperdine with the PsyD program I'm specifically in is that they do offer like structure and organization in regards to classes. So right now I'm at a internship practicum rather. So just hearing other experiences of other individuals who are either in PsyD programs or PhD programs. I've heard that some programs don't offer too much organization, so they might have to wait like a week before until they register for classes, or they don't know which classes they're going to be taking, so they have to wait on their schedule. But with this program and at Pepperdine, they let you know in advance, like 2 months in advance, what classes you're going to be taking, when to register and all of that. Which I know in my experience coming from undergrad, it was like you register for the first class that you want to take, and it comes on the first base. But with Pepperdine, you get to kind of already know which classes you need to take, so there's like no rush. So that was something I was stressed about when I came into a graduate program. But in regards to other things, I would say a pro is also like the support groups that are offered for students, especially when it's like first generation students, so such as myself. It's also really something that might be a little bit difficult when you're connecting with other students that maybe are a little bit more, they're having different experiences in the program. So one of the things I'm kind of referencing is, for example, my cohort members and we developed a BIPOC process group because we felt that there wasn't maybe a little bit of diversity within the program. So I guess that's a little bit of a con there, but the pro to that is that there's opportunities for students to kind of develop organizations or support groups for students that really do need it. And of course, there's faculty members that are willing to be a part of that. And kind of have that established for future students as well. So that's one of the things that the con, but also a pro too.
Thank y'all for that. I'm gonna actually kind of skip a couple of questions, just looking at our time now, because I think that y'all covered a little bit of the like what the environment is like in terms of collaboration and support, as well as the one about like, would you choose your graduate program? I think we all have an idea of what that is. So so the next question that I'm going to talk about is what skills or knowledge that you learned, what's the what skills or knowledge that you learned from your HDev major did you find to be the most useful in preparing for graduate school, or now while you're in graduate school?
I can go. One of my favorite classes taking in human development was with Dr. Shi. She really touched base on a lot of current issues going on in our society, and she talked a lot about like systemic racism and oppression, and she touched base on a lot of adversity that people of color go through. And me coming from an activist background, me bringing a person of color, growing up in not the best neighborhood in Long Beach, I related to a lot of the topics. And being in human development major, being in the program, I feel like you have to be a person that really understands or tries to understand other people's situations, and to be a person that is very compassionate. And so that really correlated with why I wanted to work with people, whether they were young or old. I worked with college students, I worked with preschool students, and I'm taking a lot of the topics that Dr. Shi talked about into my own practice in my own classroom. So it's something that I really felt like it molded me into this professional individual in the field.
I'll go next. I definitely second everything that Jocelyn just said, but I also think that the internship class definitely did prepare me probably the most. I had to do a dual internship with my minor, which was gerontology, so I ended up having to do 120 hours with my program. I interned with the Council on Aging of Southern California with within their preventative mental health department, and that's what actually made me decide that I wanted to go into social work and become a therapist. So I think getting that professional um, outlook, at least for just one semester, definitely did help because I did not have type of background or experience in that at all. So that was definitely a really good class that helped me prepare.
I also want to second what Jocelyn and Alana just mentioned with the internship class. I think that was kind of a really huge thing for me, especially in regard to experience, because when I graduated in 2019, so I did the internship class, I believe 2018 to 2019 before I graduated as an HDEF major, and I really didn't have any internship experience at all. So that was the only experience, and I really am thankful and I'm really grateful for the opportunity of having done that. I did it at Power for Youth, so I still keep in contact with the supervisor that I had during that time, and she has been really helpful and supportive. Even like now, like at a current practicum, I still had to reach out, and I still reach out to her. So you do make those connections in this internship opportunities. So that's something that I really am grateful. I was also, I don't know if I mentioned, but I was also a psychology major. So I was a double major, human development and psychology. But in psychology, I did not have the experience of doing an internship, which I'm glad I did it with human development. And I think one of the other reasons I also did human development and found it really useful up until today is like the integration of like culture, but also like psychology and sociology. So the integration of all of those, because I found it that's been really helpful to kind of consider like the lifespan. And I think there is a class also about death and dying, if I recall correctly, which I still remember some of the concepts that we talked about in those classes. So being able to integrate that even until now, it's like I really am grateful for those experiences. So and the classes. So.
I can go next. I would also say the internship, but I think before I say the internship, I have to say the research methods because that's where I met Dr. Kelly. And I think that's really where it just began for me, like my appreciation and enjoyment for research. I think it was just, and I got to do that in the internship by interning to be working at Dr. Kelly's lab, because I was always thinking about graduate school and getting the experience. So I would say that the internship was a very transformative time and a very significant experience that I got from HDEB. And like Jacqueline was mentioning, just the interdisciplinary lens like really helps me and like really think about critically about topics and issues. And even to this day, like we still talk about that in some of my courses, like in developmental cognitive stuff. So a lot of the theories that we have talked about, we still do talk about it now that I'm in psychology. But yeah, the internship I would say is just a big bonus out of HDEV because HDEV has like the coolest classes that I still talk about today. But yeah.
I would have to say that for me, it was kind of learning more about humanity as a complex whole, and also kind of understanding the multidimensional disciplines that human development is based on. So, occupational therapy has a lot of the human development disciplines, which, in regards, a lot of people who actually do. A lot of people in my like a lot of my colleagues, they come from a human development background, and also kinesiology. So some of them have them integrated because, again, you're looking at the social, the physical, the cultural aspects of what makes us human. And then occupational therapy focuses more on the occupations that people engage in because that's the lens that we look at. You know, that's the approach. We focus on at it. We focus at oh, excuse me, I'm like tongue tied. We focus at a human level. That's initially what our and the occupations that people engage in. So this can mean anything. And it's also like how all of my other all these other wonderful people have said as well, like just kind of being able to understand what human development entails, right? Kind of being socially and culturally aware of everything, being compassionate, and then just kind of I feel like that has been really helpful and has allowed me to actually succeed in occupational therapy school.
Great. I think this would probably be, in the interest of time, I think this would probably be our last question for the panelists. So, what other advice would you give to current HDEF students as they prepare to apply and or to attend graduate school?
I think definitely just researching the programs that you want to apply to. Um, Looking at cost for each school is definitely a big one too. If you're planning on trying to work part-time, full-time, I think that's definitely something that a lot of people need to take into consideration because a lot of people in my cohort even are still working full-time while they can. So I definitely think that's something to consider.
I would say both, like in addition to researching about those programs, reach out to the current grad students in those programs. I think that's the best insight you can get about the program, is talking to the students that are currently in that program. I have done that in the past. And also email the faculty member or the advisor that you are interested in working with to make sure also that they are accepting students, and because sometimes they can go in sabbatical or all of that stuff, like, and if they are not accepting students, so then you don't want to send an application and just kind of let that go to nowhere before you even go through the whole process of applying, putting together all of that stuff. And also, one thing that's I think is changing, I don't know how wide this is, but like the GRE, that's also something to think about. If the program you're looking into applying requires that, then also that's something else to take into account before you even, submit an application. Because if that is required, then you would also have to make time to prepare to take those tests. Thankfully, like my program didn't need that. Again, I don't know how many universities nowadays are not looking at GRE, but it just depends on the program that you're interested in. And lastly, for your personal statement, I don't know about you, but I struggle writing about myself. I tell this to Dr. Kelly all the time. That's like probably the hardest thing to write about is myself, because imposter syndrome is real. But that's okay. It's okay to feel that way. That's valid. But yeah, like ask your friends, ask your colleagues to, give you feedback on all of those things, because you want to market yourself in the best way possible. And then last thing is fit. Really fit. Fit matters. You have to make sure that the program aligns with your goals, like you really think like, and talking to the potential advisor that you want to work with, really you have had a chance to like email them or something, or maybe even Zoom with them. I guess you can do that nowadays if possible. Like really make sure, like I don't know, get an impression of them, like to see if you think this is a person you really want to work with, because I think that's important, especially this is a huge investment financially, but also for your career. So those are my advice.
I think like Grace was also just kind of mentioning with the personal statement, but also reaching out to students. I think that combining those two also is really helpful if you do reach out to students or faculty to make sure to integrate those into your personal statement. Because in my experience, I did get a question or so from about like what I had learned about reaching out to students or faculty based on the program I was interviewing for. So I think that would be really helpful and just kind of a heads up also that uh, that it is helpful to do that because I think that also shows your investment and your interest in whatever program you're going to be applying to and potentially going to be attending. And like others have also mentioned, being able to start early on your applications, the recommendations. I think I mentioned this, but even like if it's creating like a little folder or something for your recommenders, I think that was a huge like of help for me for the recommenders and what they knew that they should be incorporating or what the programs were looking for. And of course, like the financial opportunities, if of course, like many had mentioned already, but like with student loans, it is a real thing. So, but if there are any scholarship opportunities, external or internal for the program, that's also another big consideration if you're going to be looking to apply there as well.
I would like to say that when you're attending the program, it's always great to remember that it's okay to give your time for self-care. Even like taking a mental health day, like from your work, or like even if you're like, I'm not gonna do anything today, I'm not gonna open this book, I'm not gonna go on social media, I'm just gonna like take a break for myself and do things that makes you happy. Like for me, meditating really helped. Going out to my favorite place really helped. Being around people that really helped, that supported me throughout my life really helped. So it's okay to feel like defeated and like you're overworked and like you're stressed out and but you have to remember that those breaks are okay and it should be normalized and to always check in with yourself.
I would have to agree with what Jocelyn said. I currently take 6 classes and they're very intense. Um, and sometimes, I do believe that imposter syndrome is very real, but something that was articulated to us was that we are no longer in this competitiveness. It's more about supporting each other to get through graduate school. And I also feel like it is a very huge investment. So really make sure that this is something that you do want to do and that no one is also, pressuring you into doing it because this is a huge investment, not only financially, but also emotionally. Taking time for yourself is very important, even though you may feel like I took a break today. I'm also recovering from a cold, so I physically know I cannot push my body to do more. And it's okay if you do. And then for those who are preparing to apply to go to graduate school, don't let loans scare you. If this is what you want to do, depending on whatever career you choose to do, don't let that hinder you. And it's kind of something that we have to accept, that it is something that just does have to happen. So do pick a choice and a career path that will work for you and that will, that you will still continue to push yourself through because it is a very huge investment. And also, I think that just having a good outline of your curriculum, like of your like if you have like academic achievements or like if you have something that helps you stand out. For personal statements, I will say USC did require a video and a essay format. So for the essay format, really make it personal. That's what they want to know. So don't make it very standardized. So try to avoid the standard cliche, like, oh, I want to get accepted because this is what they want to know why. And then I think that's when the video really allowed them to see, like, they'll give you another prompt. So if you do apply for USC, they'll give you another more direct prompt to answer in less than 1 minute. In my case, it was less than 1 minute as to why I wanted to become an occupational therapist. But don't be afraid. You can do it. You've made it this far, and, props to you. You're moving on, and, best of luck, and never, ever give up.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Yes. Yes. Clapping emojis. No, thank you all so much for taking time. And our guest, our lone guest who's still here, thank you so much for being here, Liliana. But just know that we will use this video hopefully in the future. We are trying to really pump up our public relations for the Department of Human Development. So I could imagine that this might end up on our department YouTube channel. And also I could see that this may be really useful for my new class in human development that focuses on graduate study in human development. So I could imagine potentially using this as well in that space. So your time is very much appreciated. Dr. Shi?
Yes, I just want to echo what Dr. Kelly said. Thank you all very much for being here and sharing your wisdom with us and with our future cohorts of HDEF students. I just got a really quick follow-up because I've heard from Grace and Jacqueline about a personal statement, right? So definitely, reach out to your friends, colleagues, and classmates for reading those, but also your undergraduate mentors are also great resources. We're here, right? We've written our share of personal statements, so we're here to, for the support. So definitely reach out. Those of you who are thinking about applying to graduate school, definitely reach out to your HDEF professors. Many of us are able to, of course, give us enough time, right, to be in comment and give feedback. But I think I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think it's safe to say that we're all really happy to help, redraft and give you feedback, and because we want to see you being successful, right, applying to a graduate program. So just want to add that. To let you know that you can actually reach out to your professors for help and support in that regard.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, we did it. We're on time. So we will just say thank you so much for your time again, and also for sharing all of your experiences. It was wonderful to see y'all, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.